Hello, friends. Thanks for tuning in to another Kentucky Running episode presented by John's Run Walk Shop. I'm your host, Matt Reno. And before we start, here's what I want you to do. I want you to imagine you're an employee of a well-known athletic shoe company. One night, you're out seeing a concert. It's headlined by one of the biggest hip-hop acts of the time. And at one point during the show, they hold up a pair of shoes in front of the crowd of 40,000 people. And it's a shoe that your company makes. And not only that, they then launch into a song about how much they love those shoes. I mean, you knew your products were good and that your brand was well respected, but seeing this concert and hearing that song opens your eyes as to just how culturally relevant your shoe brand has become. Of course, I'm talking about Run DMC and their song, My Adidas. The year was 1986, and Adidas had no clue how popular their shoes had become within the hip-hop community until one of their employees saw that show. At the time, Adidas had been around for nearly 40 years, and now it was starting to resonate with a new generation. Well, now almost another 40 years has passed, and Adidas is still relevant across generations and across the world. And it's the newest running shoe brand making its way to John's Run Walk Shop. We made that announcement on episode 1, and today on Kentucky Running, we're diving deeper with our Adidas tech representative, Bret Freed. We'll talk about the history of the brand, the shoes we'll be carrying as of June 1st, and whether I'm mispronouncing the brand's name. Let's dive in. All right, our guest today is Bret Freed. He's our tech rep from Adidas. Bret, how you doing today?
Good. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, glad to have you. So first things first, since this is a podcast, I have to ask, Adidas or Adidas?
The correct term is Adidas because it actually goes back to our founder, Adolf Dassler, whose nickname was Adi, so it's just his first name and part of his last name together, Adidas.
Okay, but you'll forgive me for saying Adidas.
Here in America, it's Adidas.
Okay. It's a hard habit to break.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Speaking of the history of the brand, I know everybody's heard of it, but I don't think everybody knows what a long history Adidas has. What can you tell us about the early days of the company?
So actually, the history of the founding of the company is incredibly interesting. I think most people know it, but I'll give a little bit of the background here. So it was, like I said, it was Adolf Dassler and his brother, actually, Rudolf Dassler. They started a shoe company together many, many years ago, and they ended up having a huge falling out and hating each other. So they went their separate ways in business. Adi Dassler made Adidas, Adidas. And then his brother Rudolph actually founded a pretty popular company named Puma. So a lot of people don't know that the founders of those two companies were actually brothers, and business kind of tore their relationship apart. They just had a lot of separating ideas about how they wanted to be run. Adi, who founded Adidas, he was much more focused on just creating the best product, and Rudolph was much more like a sales-oriented guy. So they kind of had a lot of falling out. Supposedly their wives didn't like each other either, and that played a part in the splitting. But yeah, so they ended up going their separate ways, and Adidas was originally founded back in 1949. They started making shoes long before that. Jesse Owens was actually one of the first athletes that we got shoes onto for the Olympics and got our name out there, and it was pretty funny because obviously that really pissed Hitler off to see an American wearing a German-owned shoe and beating all of his athletes.
Nice.
So yeah, that's kind of how we originally were founded. The 3 stripes, it really just comes from, that was his idea to just kind of be able to show up and just be noticeable. So that's really all that came from. But yeah, that's a little history, the background of the company. Then we obviously kind of started in like the running footwear, and then we ended up getting contract with the German national soccer team, and most people across the world probably know Adidas as a soccer brand, but we were actually a running brand first.
In terms of the balance between running and soccer, where is the company most focused on in America?
I would say it's pretty split.
Yeah.
With being like such a large brand and how many facets of sports like we go into, I would say the larger investment is still probably on the soccer side, but we're making a big push right now to increase our investment in run specialty, which is kind of why we're talking here today while we're back at John's Run Walk Shop.
Well, we appreciate that.
like year over year, you'll see Adidas running get bigger and bigger. We have very long-term investment plans in the space, and we have a lot of awesome product coming out that kind of lines up with that.
That's great. And what was the thought process behind reinserting Adidas into run specialty?
Because, I mean, if you look at every single sport in the world, there's pretty much a common factor there, and that is running. Because so, I mean, we view it as if you win in running, you can win in every single sport that's out there, because pretty much every athlete in the world has to have a pair of running shoes.
So how does Adidas set itself apart from other sportswear brands?
I mean, one, again, I think our history has a lot to do with it, and we have a huge global presence, and in Germany, like, we have so much funding that goes into so much research to create the best product we possibly can for our athletes. Again, even going back to Adidas, like, he has always been consumer first, product first, on just getting the best possible products on the market. And then on top of that, even outside of like the sports world, we have an amazing like lifestyle brand. So we really have stuff for every single consumer out there.
I like how Adidas has positioned itself as more than just an athletic company. It's a lifestyle brand, and you've hammered home that message by partnering with well-known people outside the sports world. So, for example, Bad Bunny right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
What goes into Adidas's decisions on partnerships like that?
One, I think this is more so of like my interpretation, but it's like you look at like Bad Bunny and then a lot of the other people we've partnered with, we always kind of partner with people who have a pretty diverse cultural background. And I mean, I think that a big part of that is because, I mean, we're such a massive global company. We want to be able to appeal to every single consumer, every single person that's out there. Yeah. So that's kind of where a lot of that plays into. And then outside of that, it's like, I mean, anybody who has an interest in us, like, we want to support that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it seems like you're supporting the people for whom shoes are not just about performance, but it's a statement. It's almost like wearing a T-shirt with some kind of slogan on it, but it's on your feet, and it's still a way of saying who you are and what you're into.
Exactly. I mean, all across the world, if you look, people would identify so much with what they have on their feet. Like, the whole sneaker world has blown up in the past couple of decades, and it's been a lot of fun, and we love playing into that. Then another guy I would want to talk about right now, especially with NBA playoffs going on right now, Anthony Edwards is absolutely killing it. We're making a big push in the basketball world as well, and we've had a lot of collaborations with him on his sneakers, his basketball sneakers that he plays in, but he's also made some lifestyle shoes as well that are sick. And again, that kind of plays into just like tapping into different cultures. Yeah.
What are some runners that you have deals with right now?
So, me being from the Southeast, we recently signed Caitlin Toohey from NC State. I'm from the Carolinas, so that was awesome for me to see, and I think she's going to be a phenomenal athlete. Evans Chibet, he didn't win Boston this year, but he won the 2 previous years, and then especially Olympic year, you got to talk about Noah Lyles. After the World Championship that he came off of last year, we're hoping to see him win a lot more gold medals this coming Olympics.
Awesome. All right, so let's get into the actual shoes that we're going to be carrying here at John's Run Walk Shop. We've got a few models that we're bringing in. Where do you want to start?
I would say let's start with the Boston 12, because that's kind of been our staple for the past few years.
Yeah.
And it's personally probably my all-time favorite shoe, so maybe I'm a little biased there. But yeah, like I said, that's kind of been our staple for a really long time. We're on the 12th edition. It's been out for years and years and years, and it's kind of the perfect product because it really combines like everything that we put in all of our elite footwear, like the Adios Pro, all the racing shoes. Like when you see our marathoners winning races, like we just talked about, what they're wearing, we use that same technology in the shoe, but then we also bring in the tech we have in our like everyday running shoes to kind of combine that. It has carbon fiber energy rods that help give you a little bit of pop, a little bit of energy return, and the rod system kind of works with lining up with the metatarsal of your foot, so it's also an incredibly stable fit. And then we also use our Light Strike Pro foam, which is the exact same foam used in all of our elite shoes. that sits right underneath the foot on top of a denser foam beneath it to give it more durability. So it can really work for any type of run you want to do. If you want to do an easy run, it'll work for that. But if you want to pick up the pace and do something faster, then you'll definitely feel good doing that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I tried that one on, I was like, oh, this is going to be my next 5K shoe.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. So then we also have 2 from the Supernova line.
Yeah, so we kind of just revamped our Supernova line. Going back to speaking about like all of our elite stuff for the past 10 or so years, Adidas, people only know Adidas in the running world from our elite product. We haven't had anything that's just plush, comfortable, that's just going to work for an everyday runner, somebody that might just want a walking shoe or just a comfortable shoe. We just haven't had that in the market. But what we've done really well, in my opinion, is that we've taken everything that works in our elite line and we're trying to bring that down into our everyday line, which is now what the Supernova franchise is. So I mentioned in the Boston how we have carbon fiber energy rods. In the Supernova franchise, we have EVA support rods. So it's not designed to give you any like pop back or any energy return, but it just adds stability to the shoe, so it's just going to work for a lot more foot types. And then we just brought out a brand new foam called Dream Strike Plus, and so it's essentially just a denser version of the Light Strike Pro, our top most elite foam. It's a supercritical foam that we're bringing down into our everyday running line, which not many brands are doing. It's a super nice step and feel. It's a soft shoe. As you probably know, the entire like trend in run specialty right now is going to this like super soft cushioning, which is working well, but we still believe there's an idea of too soft, so that's why we want to bring in this supercritical foam so that it's soft, but it's also still giving you some energy return, and it's going to last a while for you. Mm-hmm. So Supernova Rise is our neutral version of that shoe, then Supernova Solutions, our stability version, for people who pronate a little bit more. The only difference being is that the support rods on the medial side of the foot of the Solution are just denser and molded together, so it's denser on the medial side to add some extra support. So we're have both those shoes to kind of be able to hit every consumer, every runner.
Would that stability fall more for extreme pronation, mild pronation?
It would be more so mild pronation.
Okay.
It's kind of our play on like the dynamic stability that's become popular in the past few years.
Okay, so those are the 3 shoes we're starting with, but we're also going to be carrying another one that's going to launch on June 1st, the Supernova Prima. Can we talk about that a bit?
Yeah, no, let's dive right into it. So Prima is one of the shoes we're most excited about that we have coming out fall winter 24. Like I said, it launches June 1st. So I explained the new Dream Strike Plus foam that's going in Supernova Rise and Supernova Solutions. So Supernova Prima is basically just like those 2 shoes on steroids. So nice. It's just the same kind of platform as the Rise. It just has almost 10 millimeters more of stack height of the Dream Strike Plus foam. So it's just super soft, super responsive, incredibly comfortable shoe.
So for runners who've never worn Adidas, what would you say are some of the features that make these shoes worth trying?
One, the support rods and the tech we have coming in to support kind of each individual foot. I don't think many brands or really any brands are playing in the space that we're playing in that. So we just have products that are going to work for every single foot type. And then getting into the Adidas line, it's kind of a nice starting point to if you have goals to run more, run faster, or even just want a comfortable shoe. We have things that are going to fit all of that. And we're finally kind of wising up, and year over year, we're actually taking feedback from consumers and using that to directly improve our products, which is kind of a new thing for us, especially being a company that's based in Germany, because a lot of decisions that are made in Germany haven't necessarily lined up in the North American market, but now a lot of those decisions are now being made in North America, and we're getting those direct feedback from our runners and walkers and consumers that are wearing Adidas. So it's a brand I think you can identify with, and that's going to commit to you and making you better.
Awesome. Any other innovations or releases we can expect down the line?
There is a lot of big stuff coming out. I don't want to say too much, but I will give a tiny, tiny little teaser here that I know everybody knows this right now for the Pro Evo 1, our $500 shoe. We're kind of using that as our concept car, and we're learning as much as we can about shoes and elite shoes and just product from that, and we're kind of pulling that down into our everyday running line. So that's all I'm going to say about that, but just know there's some stuff coming.
All right, so as we wrap things up, I just want to ask, what role is Adidas playing in the Paris Olympics?
I think you'll see a lot of gold medals won with Adidas footwear on their feet.
Nice.
We have some product activations coming out around then that'll be really exciting. But I mean, especially coming off the US champs that we had for track, there was a lot of Adidas athletes. And so again, like we talked about Noah Lyles earlier, I think we're going to see a lot of him on top of a podium. Grant Holloway is going to be incredibly exciting, and we're always known as an elite brand, so the Olympics is really where we shine. So hopefully you're seeing a lot of 3 stripes on the top of those podiums.
All right, great. We'll be watching for that and, of course, rooting for them. Thanks a lot, Bret. Really appreciate talking to you, and we're really excited to be carrying Adidas in the store.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm really excited for this partnership.
Big thanks to Bret for coming on the show and teaching us more about Adidas. I'm really excited that we're going to start carrying these shoes in our store. Stay tuned. We'll be having demos with Bret in the near future, so you can try on some Adidas for yourself, or just come into either one of our stores in Chevy Chase and Palomar Center, slip on some Adidas, see how you like them. We're really excited about what the future holds with that brand. Once again, thank you for listening to the show. My name is Matt Reno, and if you want to help others find Kentucky running, go to your podcast app of choice and leave a rating and a review. Those help immensely. We'll talk again soon on Kentucky Running.